Valorant takes a lot of strategy and game knowledge. I know. If you're in the lower elos or are fairly new to the game, you're probably very focused on aim. After all, if you can just tap someone's head off the rip, that should be enough to win games, right? Well, unfortunately, not all of us are insane aimers like Tens. Even a player like him needs to study relentlessly to know the current strategies and tricks that everyone else is using. Otherwise, we'll get caught off guard by a play we didn't expect. In the higher ranks, everyone has good aim, and the difference maker here is having better strategies and tricks that the enemy isn't expecting or prepared for. In this video, we're going to go through 7 strategies and tricks you need to know to dominate your Valorant games and catch your enemies by surprise. Before we get into things, this video is just a small piece of what we have to offer. If you really want a comprehensive series for improving in Valorant, please check out SkillCapped.com, where we provide every course you could possibly need to improve in Valorant. Our program offers aim tips, agent guides, VOD reviews, and so much more. If you want to truly take your Valorant play to the next level, make sure to check us out. Link in the description. Without further ado, let's jump right in. Coordinated pushes, when executed properly, make it incredibly easy to take sites and retake sites. Here's a clip of DRX cleanly retaking the A side of Haven despite having a man advantage. The 2 key agents here to start off the play are Omen and Breach. It starts off with an Omen smoke onto A short, thus removing a choke point that DRX has to worry about. From there, Omen throws a Paranoia that blinds A corner in middle of sight. This Paranoia works perfectly as it takes his raise and fade right out of the picture. Alright, now let's change our POV to Breach, who's concussing Hell and the corner of A site. To ensure the Hell player has to move out, he follows the concuss with Aftershock. The enemy Breach is now forced to move out of position, and Chamber is stunned and unable to help the team out as well. With these 2 agent abilities, the entire Leviathan team is hit or blocked off by utility. Once the abilities are used, DRX drops through Heaven together and swiftly eliminates the debilitated enemies. Jett dashes into the middle of sight to wide out Fade, while Sova and Killjoy take care of the back of sight. Meanwhile, Breach stays Heaven to watch the long angle and takes care of Chamber. All of this happens in just a matter of seconds, despite 2 players on DRX having just classics and Leviathan having full rifles. This was all thanks to the coordinated plays of each individual member. Omen and Breach set things up, and then the rest of the team just followed through. When your team's about to push A site or is rotating over to retake A site, it's important to have a plan beforehand. Who's going to push where and when, what utility is going to be used, and where are you going to place it. Obviously, a team like DRX has practiced these kind of executes several times over. When playing with friends or pubs, you won't be able to get nearly as good of a set play as they will. However, that doesn't mean you still can't make some sort of play together. It only takes a few seconds to communicate where people should be positioned and what abilities will be popped. Once that's talked out, it's just a matter of following through with the plan. Taking the time to do this will make a monumental difference in site hits and retakes, so don't skimp out on it. Moving on, one of the best ways to switch things up on defense is with aggressive pushes. Typically, you want to be more passive on defense and let the enemy come to you. When this doesn't work out though, it's good to try and change up the pace rather than letting the attackers dictate the round. Like what we mentioned earlier, coordinating the push is going to be key to making an aggressive push work on defense. For example, in this round, Paper Rex has Viper ult available to cover the A side. Because of this, Paper Rex put more resources onto B side and went for a 3-man push down B long. This push was set up by smoking A long and then using Fade's Haunt to tag players through the smoke. This combination gave Paper Rex the ability to frag through the smoke for free. And the aggression continued with Raze popping her ultimate and satcheling through the smoke to get an additional 2 frags. And just like that, suddenly it's 4v1, prior to Ye getting a quick 2 frags with his ultimate. In a matter of seconds, the round was essentially won due to this coordinated, aggressive play on defense. The key to making these plays work is by having a plan and making sure everybody's on the same page. This 3-man aggression wouldn't have gone nearly as well without the utility that was methodically set up to help grab the frags. Again, in most rounds, you'll want to play a more standard setup, but every few rounds, throwing an aggressive hit will catch enemies off guard and help you and your team gain a few extra rounds if planned properly. A particularly good round to go aggressive is on the third round of a half after winning pistol. You have inferior weaponry, so chances are you'll lose the round if you go for a standard setup. The enemy will just win with better guns. Leviathan went for a two-way pinch onto one side of Fracture during their save round, and it worked wonders for them. The attackers had nowhere to run and had to fight in an uncomfortable situation. This play also gave Leviathan the man advantage, as anyone on the opposite side of the map wasn't able to help out. Overall, with the map setup and the surprise pinch play, Leviathan was able to win out the bonus round and get a very strong start to the half. When you're in a bonus or an eco round, try out some unorthodox plays that could possibly surprise the enemy. These rounds aren't in your favor anyway, so you might as well try something different rather than playing regular where you'll probably just get wrecked anyways. Going off of that, one of the agents that's recently made a resurgence is Neon. With Neon's high gear speed and dash, she's insanely good at following up with her teammates' utility. If a flash or an ultimate is used, Neon will be able to pick up the pace and get to the enemy before they can escape from the ability. In this clip, PRX used Rolling Thunder to stun everybody in A-main. Before the ultimate is even finished, Neon's able to run out through the doors and begin engaging the enemy. There's practically no time for the other players to react just because of how fast Neon gets up in your face. And by the time the teammates arrived, Forsaken had already grabbed 2 frags due to how early he arrived into the action. Neon has 2 stuns herself that can help her as she pushes into enemy territory. These stuns can be tricky to land exactly where you want it though, when you're on the run, and with the fact that they bounce. Having a teammate with easier to use abilities can make the game much easier to execute. It's a lot easier for a teammate to time an ability like a flash or a stun than it is for Neon to time her stun and push at the same time. With a little bit of help, Neon just has to worry about running it down and clicking heads afterwards. Now, the idea of using abilities for your teammates goes beyond just Neon though. Besides Duelist, most abilities work better when they're not used for themselves. For example, Sky Flashes and Breach Flashes can be used for an individual play, but they have a delay before you can take out your weapon and shoot. This gives a greater chance for the enemy to regain their vision and then shoot back at you. Teammates can peek off a Sky or Breach Flash way quicker since they don't have the weapon delay. While the focus for this trick is on Neon specifically, don't forget to try to use your abilities to help your teammates just in general. It will go a long way in improving team play and increase your success rate of fragging off abilities overall. Next up, we have quite the fancy yoru flash that not many players know is possible. When trying to flash through a smoke, most yoru players will bounce it at an angle towards the ground and then peek out. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad flash, but it could be better. The reason being is, for this flash, you have to turn around to avoid being flashed yourself. Along with that, while it's essentially a pop flash, enemies will visually be able to see the flash coming for just a split second and have time to reactively turn from it. Now, a better flash that can be done is by bouncing the flash straight underneath you. The flash will bounce just high enough to get past the smoke, thus allowing it to still blind the enemies that stare at it. Because the flash appears so late, enemies will have almost no time to react to it. This leads to a full flash and an easy push to eliminate them. With the right timing, the flash will also land behind yoru. This means there's no need to turn around from the flash yourself. Just push straight forward and wipe the floor with them. This flash works for every smoke in the game. Whether it be Brimstone, Astra, Viper, or Omen, the flash will bounce high enough to get past the smoke and brighten up the enemy screens. Continuing off of that, if you're playing defense and the attackers are low on time, knockback abilities like Raze's Satchels and Breach's Rolling Thunder can be incredibly helpful in delaying the plan. Particularly when time is low, a short delay could be all it takes to run the clock and win the round. And that's exactly what Zip-On did here. The enemy had 8 seconds to plant the spike, and with 2 Satchel in reserve, Zip-On was able to deny the plant and win the round through the timer. We're emphasizing Raze's Satchel for this trick because you'll be able to repeatedly do this for multiple rounds, compared to Breach's Rolling Thunder that you won't have nearly as often. Next time you're defending a site, consider using your Satchel to delay time. Just a few seconds delay could be all it takes to run the clock to 0, or to give more time for your team to rotate and have an easier time retaking the site. Now it's time to get all sneaky beaky like. If you've ever gone for a flank and got rudely interrupted by a trap like Chamber's trademark, this trick will do wonders for you. If you smoke out the trap, it'll no longer detect you and you'll be able to sneak through it and continue with the flank. Of course, these smokes will make noise, so be aware of the chance that enemies will probably still know you're flanking. In most scenarios though, if the enemy's focused on something else, they probably won't hear the smoke. or at the very least, they won't be able to process that the smoke was for blocking their flank trap before it's too late. You'll already be behind them and bopping away at their heads. Just make sure you place the smoke properly to block off the trap, or you'll end up in this situation that Marv was in. Unlucky, really. Following that trick, here's another tip that'll snag you some easy kills. A popular move players do these days is firing a single bullet when they're about to drop off a ledge. You'll see Shy doing this in this clip. Now, the point of this shot is to distort the noise, so enemies can't hear that you drop down. That way you can push through unexpectedly while they still think you're on higher ground. If you've ever heard a single bullet coming from an elevated area, chances are players shot for this reason. Knowing that info, it's a good chance they've dropped down. By using the sound cue of the bullet, you could spray towards that direction and get a free frag, or at least some chip damage. Or if you're Boaster, you fire a whole operator shot through a smoke and tilt your enemy to oblivion. Next time you hear a single bullet fired on an elevated surface like heaven, be prepared to aim your crosshair a little lower. And if there's smoke covering that choke point off, feel free to spam some bullets through it in that general direction. You'll probably get a free few hits in, and even some potential kills. Do be careful not to spam too many bullets though if you're using a weapon with bullet tracers like Vandal. This gives the opportunity for the enemy to fire back, and then deal chip damage themselves. Last but not least, we have a bonus strategy. This one you've probably heard before, but we want to reiterate the fact that pros don't fake. If you're unfamiliar with that term, pros don't fake is referring to situations where a player will fully stick the defuse from the first tap. In most scenarios, players will at the very most defuse halfway before going to the spike and looking for the remaining attackers. It takes a lot of guts to hold the defuse completely on the first go, so most attackers will only briefly peek out or not peek out at all when they hear the first defuse tick. At lower ranks, most players will peek out on the first tick, as they're afraid the defender will fully stick, so we don't recommend sticking a defuse in this elo because of this. As you get into higher ranks like Platinum and Diamond, players try to play smarter by not peeking and playing it safe. Now, their thought process is, there's no way someone would fully stick a defuse off the get-go. It's better to not peek and risk losing an aim duel before you're able to run the clock further. This is the elo where pros don't fake works best. It's that exact thought process that gives the opening for someone to actually stick the spike for the entire 7 seconds. And that is exactly what Enzo does here in a do-or-die round situation. The odds of someone sticking the defuse are so slim that Leviathan didn't even see it coming. Fnatic eventually wins the game off this play. We don't recommend sticking the defuse often, but if the situation's right and you know the enemy will try to play smart and not peek, go for it. That's all we have for today's video. We hope this helped you learn some new tricks and some new strategies that you can implement into your game to win more rounds and climb up those rankings quickly. That's gonna do it for us. As always, we here at SkillCapped want to thank you all so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.